Hi, welcome to Ed Foodie. Today we're going to make a dessert. It's going to smell like Thanksgiving here. It's got pumpkin in it, some cinnamon and clove. And it's going to be like a bread pudding, I think, is what it's going to be. So I'm going to call this pumpkin bread pudding. And we're going to make it with toasted English muffins instead of bread chunks. So let's get started. So what I'm starting with here is I have 6 halves, so that's 3 full English muffins that I've toasted. And by the way, I'm making a half of a recipe because if you have a large gathering, this is a great recipe to have because it makes a lot. So I'm only going to do half of a recipe. So while I'm going to let these English muffins cool off a little bit, we'll get started on the other things. So what I have here is 1 medium to medium large apple. I'm using a sweet apple. I'm using Gala, peeled and chopped into nice little bite-sized pieces. I'm going to pour that into a nice sized bowl. And with that, I'm going to put in a half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon and 1/4 cup of, you can use raisins. I had some craisins, dried cranberries. I'm going to use that. I think it'll add a little tartness, a little sourness to it, which I'll like. All right, so we'll just stir this up, get all that cinnamon coated on the apple. All right, so now I'm going to tear up all the English muffin pieces. Maybe I'll cut them. I just cut the English muffin into, one side into strips and then the other side into little square chunks. They're about the same size as the apple. So strips and then turn and make little squares. And we'll do that with all 6 halves. Since I'm making a half a recipe, I have a 1.5 quart baking dish. I'm going to spray with cooking spray. I'll stir these up to get the breadcrumbs in there nice. Pour these into the baking dish. Spread them out even. Make sure you got a nice, the raisins are evenly distributed throughout there. In another bowl, I'm going to pour in 1.5 cups of milk. I have 1 egg that's slightly beaten. This was a jumbo egg, so I hope it works out okay. I've got a 15-ounce can of pumpkin. I'm going to use half of that, so that's going to be like 7.5 ounces. I've actually decided to put this in a larger bowl because we're going to mix that up good. I don't want to spill it everywhere. I have 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground cloves, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of ginger. For some reason, I don't have my dry powdered ginger, so I'm just going to use this 1/2 teaspoon. And lastly, we'll put in 1/4 cup of brown sugar. We'll whisk this up until it's a little bit thick. Now we're just going to pour this on top. Okay, pat this down, make sure everything is submerged in the liquid. You want all that the bread to soak up all of this liquid. So I'm going to cover this with plastic wrap. You'll want to let it sit at least maybe 3 or 4 hours. And you can tell by looking at it that most of this liquid should end up getting absorbed. I want to push this down just to make sure that bread is submerged. Okay, I'm going to put this in the refrigerator for 3 or 4 hours and then we'll bring it out. And I think that's about it. We'll bake it and then we'll be done. All right, so I took it out of the refrigerator. It's been in there for 2, almost 3 hours. And you can see most of that liquid's been absorbed into the bread. That's good. So if you remember, we had a 1/4 cup of craisins that we mixed in with this. I've got another 1/4 cup, and we're just gonna sprinkle these on the top. All right, I've got a oven preheated to 350 degrees. I'm going to bake this for about an hour, and that's going to be uncovered. So I left this in here the full 60 minutes, and I have to tell you, it smells absolutely wonderful. All right, we'll let this cool off a little bit, and I know where I'd like to go after this I think this would be great with a scoop of vanilla ice cream on top of it. I may try it with a little bit of milk, but we'll let this cool off a little bit, and boy, it really looks good and smells great. All right, I can't wait for this to cool off, so I'm going to try a little bit right now. I'll pour a little bit of milk on mine to cool it off a little bit. That should be good. Let me pour a little bit of milk. Yeah, I'm telling you, ice cream I know would be wonderful on top of this. Oh wow, so good. Yeah, the outer portions of the English muffins got a little bit hard. They're not really crunchy, but adds a nice little different texture. Taste those apples. And it's not overly sweet, which is nice. I actually think Catherine may like this. You could probably have this even for breakfast, maybe Thanksgiving morning for breakfast. Wow, is that good? Definitely, thumbs up. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to Foodie right over there. And thank you for watching.